Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. COVID-19 taken off as threat to global health. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday, 8th May 2023. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. COVID-19 no longer represents a global health emergency, according to head of the World Health Organization, WHO. More in this TTT news item.
In other news, COVID-19 no longer represents a global health emergency, according to head of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus. The WHO's Emergency Committee convened a meeting for the 15th time since the pandemic started and made the decision following consistent downward trends in the virus over the past year.
It's therefore with great hope that I declare COVID-19 over as a global health emergency. However, that does not mean COVID-19 is over as a global health threat. Last week, COVID-19 claimed life every 3 minutes. And that's just the deaths we know about.
The public health emergency in late January 2020, when there were fewer than 100 cases outside of China. Since then, the WHO head said there has been over 7 million reported deaths, but he estimated that figure could be 3 times that amount, near 20 million. And despite the end of the public health emergency, he urged countries not to let their guard down.
Use this news as a reason to let down its guard, to dismantle the systems it has built, or to send the message to its people that COVID-19 is nothing to worry about. What this news means is that it's time for countries to transition from emergency mode to managing COVID-19 alongside other infectious diseases.
St. Lucia's opposition leader suspended from the House for refusing to retract a statement. Zane Romulus of the DBS News World reports.
Leader of the opposition, Alan Shasney, took to Facebook just after being suspended from the House on Tuesday. In his post, Shasney said he will not recant his statements of alleged corruption in the sale of the Tapio lands made during the parliamentary debate last Friday. The government, he says, has yet to provide the basic details about the deal, and it is his job as opposition leader and a member of parliament to question and hold the government accountable.
All of us are St. Lucians. We all live here. Where can you buy waterfront land in Castries for $27 a square foot? Why wasn't that land offered to somebody else? Who is the person that bought the land? How did they identify that person? What's the plan that's going on the land? Up to now, there's no answer. But you want to come to the House and you want to censor me and cause me to apologize to a lie that the minister has said? I refuse to do it.
Shasney has accused the government of abusing its authority and taking advantage of citizens. He says the proposal to impose the health and security levy is a clear example of this.
If we continue to remain silent, and I will not remain silent, I will continue to stand for the democracy of this country. I will continue to stand for the people who cannot speak for themselves. But I will not be oppressed. And my rights as an MP and a leader of the opposition were more than abused today. And I'm hoping all of you will join in saying no to this party.
He used the Facebook platform to call on fellow citizens to join in denouncing and standing against the SLP administration. Dr. Ernest Hilaire reacted to the incident, expressed disappointment about the exchange, and chided Shasney for repeated acts of defiance and refusal to adhere to accepted parliamentary procedure and codes of conduct.
It was very disconcerting, the behavior of the member from Miku South and the attitude that he showed towards this honorable House. It's never our intent, Mr. Speaker, to disenfranchise any member, or for that purpose, to disenfranchise any constituency that elected a member to sit here to represent them. But I think we needed to get across to the honorable member that in this honorable house, there is a code of conduct. There is a manner in which you ought to behave, and there are respects and there are conventions and other accepted practices in this honorable house. I have been asked before to withdraw statements that I was convinced I did not have any reason to withdraw. I have been asked, Mr. Speaker, during my 5 years in opposition, to express my apologies for what I would have said because another member would have felt offended. Even if I felt I was right, when the Speaker asked me to, I acceded, Mr. Speaker.
He expressed hope that the Speaker would engage the member from Miku South with a view to resolving the matter and that Shasney, recognizing his obligation to his constituents, would take the necessary steps to return to the House of Assembly to fulfill his obligations as an MP and the leader of the opposition. For the DBS News World, I am Zane Romulus.
King Charles III is the 40th reigning monarch to be crowned at Westminster Abbey, in a lavish ceremony complete with holy anointing oil, glove and coronation sword.
King Charles and his wife, Queen Camilla, who was also crowned, travelled back to Buckingham Palace in the Gold State coach. Thousands of people lined the streets of London to catch a glimpse of the King and Queen as they went past. They later made an appearance on the palace balcony alongside other members of the royal family. About 2,200 people, including the royal family, celebrities, faith leaders, and heads of state, were there to witness the event. Also at the event were horses Trinidad and Tobago. In 2019, the head of the Queen's Household Cavalry and Riding Master visited Trinidad and rode with the Trinidad and Tobago Mounted Police through the streets of Port of Spain and the environs. After the visit, the Queen's Household Cavalry named 2 horses, Trinidad and Tobago. The horses took part in King Charles III's coronation. They are seen pictured with British Ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, Harriet Cross.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, has praised Trinidad and Tobago's post-pandemic economic recovery and fiscal discipline. TTT News has more, as Stacia Providence tells us.
The endorsement of the International Monetary Fund's Executive Board follows consultations with the Ministry of Finance, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, the Tobago House of Assembly, as well as several other government agencies, financial institutions, and private organizations. The IMF, in its report, noted that Trinidad and Tobago's economic activity is recovering, supported by higher global energy prices and the rebound of the non-energy sector, and that public debt has declined and the external position has improved. The IMF expects inflation to slow to 4.5% by the end of 2023 and to continue declining with international prices. Among the recommendations in the IMF Article 4 staff report, continued prudence in managing the energy revenue windfall, avoiding pro-cyclical spending, and rebuilding fiscal buffers while providing targeted support to the most vulnerable. Minister of Finance, Colm Imbert, welcomed the IMF's policy recommendation, saying it aligned with efforts to encourage private investment and promote innovation in Trinidad and Tobago. Stacey Ann Providence for TTT News.
In the meantime, Trinidad and Tobago Social Development Minister Donna Cox says approximately 200 cases of fraud relating to grant distributions are currently engaging the Trinidad and Tobago Police Force.
Speaking during the Standing Finance Committee on Friday, she said a total of 3,075 persons were recently removed from the system for the Social Assistance Grant, while close to 1,900 persons were removed from the Disability Grant due to ineligibility or deceased persons. But she said there were issues that require the attention of police, including one particular case where 20 persons applied for a grant with the same birth certificate, while another was collusion with supermarkets.
We have clients living abroad. Clients reported dead, but are still alive. There are those who are supposed to be alive, but dead, but receiving and checks being cashed.
After 8 years?
We have
reports of checks returning to the ministry because of someone producing a death certificate, and those checks were cashed.
As it pertains to the Senior Citizens Grant, she provided an explanation for the lengthy wait time to get new applicants on the system.
To be processed. The problem is not just about being approved. The delay takes place because there are checks and balances. Therefore, we recently signed an agreement with immigration because we also have to check travel patterns. We also have to check with NIB with regards to before approval takes place. And that is where part of where the delay takes place.
Mixed law enforcement contingent has been deployed to St. Lucia. Andre Huey of SKN Newsline reports.
The Ministry of National Security has sent 12 law enforcement operatives to St. Lucia. The contingent is comprised of 6 soldiers from the St. Kitts and Nevis Defence Force, ranking from private to sergeant, and 6 officers from the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, ranking from constable to sergeant. The contingent was deployed to the joint peacekeeping efforts in St. Lucia following the Regional Security System's request for assistance in this regard. According to release from the Ministry of National Security, the contingent's deployment is scheduled to last for 3 weeks. While on island, the 12 will be sworn in as special constables and function under the command of St. Lucia's Commission of Police to assist with combating criminal activity. The extensive duties will include surveillance, foot and mobile patrols, and warrant execution. The Ministry of National Security said it is deeply grateful to all law enforcement personnel for their dedicated service to local and regional national security systems and wish them well in this endeavor. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
The Privy Council of London upholds a ruling by Chief Justice Ian Winder in the Bahamas on citizenship of children of single Bahamian fathers. Fern Kerry of ZNS News tells us more.
The Privy Council's ruling affirms that children born out of wedlock to foreign women and Bahamian men are Bahamian citizens at birth. It comes after the Attorney General appealed the decision of the Court of Appeal of the Bahamas, upholding now Chief Justice Ian Winder's 2020 ruling that every person born in the Bahamas shall become a citizen of the Bahamas at their date of birth under Article 6 of the Constitution if either biological parent, regardless of their marital status, is a citizen of the Bahamas. The judgment stems from a case involving 5 respondents who were born in the Bahamas and claimed that their biological fathers are citizens of the Bahamas, but their mothers are not. Their parents were not married at the dates of their births. Bahamian human rights expert and attorney Marian Bethel noted how the High Court's ruling promotes social justice in the country.
It is the socially just way to go, and so I support it. I'm very pleased with that. I think it, in addition to that, it allows equal rights citizenship for Bahamians.
However, Bethel admits that there is still more work to be done in advancing equality in citizenship for Bahamian women.
There is still the outstanding issue of Bahamian women who are married to non-Bahamian men and their children are born outside of the Bahamas. That has to be addressed and addressed immediately. This has been a really egregious breach of a Bahamian woman's rights.
Now, the Attorney General indicated in a statement Thursday that the government remains committed to addressing other citizenship issues, including granting automatic citizenship to children born abroad to married Bahamian women and their foreign husbands. He also declared that the government will continue efforts to create a fair and just citizenship framework for all Bahamians. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Fern Carey.
Hubbards is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.